All right, today we've got an easygoing, unscripted lens review of the new Sony 20-70mm f4G. And as usual, this video is not sponsored by Sony. They lent me this lens to make this review, but I don't get to keep it. No money changed hands, and they don't get any input on this video's production or get to preview before it's posted. It is incredibly compact for a 20-70. Now, obviously, it's an external zoom in order to accomplish that, so you're gonna get a lot of barrel movement, but the balance, I mean, it does shift forward when you do that, as you'd expect, but it's not as terrible as you would expect. We've got the iris ring, which has the iris lock on it, which I like, because sometimes, you try to do it on your camera and you go, why can't I change the aperture? And you realize that you're stuck halfway between A and 22 or something. So you can lock it so that doesn't change for you. And they give you the ability to declick it if you want a smooth iris change. Then you've got the zoom ring, which is, it's good, it feels good. It's well dampened. It's exactly the amount of force I would want to have for zoom. And doesn't seem to come out on its own, which is nice. And then the focus ring is okay. Like other Sony lenses that have electronic focus, it's pretty light to move. The focus throw is okay, but it is linear focus when in manual focus, so you can do repeatable focus pulls. You just don't have a huge throw and it's not extremely dampened like a manual focus lens would be. AF/MF switch, and then 2 function buttons on the lens. And the front filter thread is a 72mm. It's 488 grams, so just over a pound, and it's about 3.89 inches or 99 millimeters, so it's under 4 inches, under 100 mils, making it one of the most compact standard zooms, if you want to class it in that same category, available. And then as far as reliability, here in my press brief, it says that it's dust and moisture resistant, not guaranteed to be 100% dust and moisture proof, but all the seams are sealed. The buttons and switches have silicone rubber gaskets, and there's a rubber ring seal around the lens mount. And they also have a fluorine coating that repels water and oil and other contaminants on the front lens element. Now, as usual, let's jump into Lightroom so I can show you some test images and discuss the results and quality of this lens. I don't know what this first image was. Oh, this is shot at f/22. I think I was trying to get Sunstars. People like to see Sunstars. The aperture range is f4 to f/22 on this lens. But as you can see, on this day, at this time, shooting in this angle, there were no Sunstars, but it does have a nice sort of soft roll-off on the highlights there. That's got nothing to do with the lens. Well, I mean, not entirely the lens, so I don't know why I'm showing you this photo. Anyway, okay, so here we're talking about chromatic aberration, which is something I like to check always. So starting at 70mm, I think I focused around here, and you can see actually as we go in, so we're looking for longitudinal chromatic aberration. That's gonna put color on the foreground, on the out of focus to the front and the back, usually different, like maybe it'll be like, amber and cyan or something as it goes, in and out of focus. But as you can see, the fence here is just staying kind of like gray and silver all the way through. The little bit of blue that you see here, I don't believe is chromatic aberration. I think that's actually just the sky. So this is a really good result. And then we have it again at, this is 20mm, same thing. So I focused around here. And again, very, very little Bokeh, which is great because generally the only way to resolve that is by stopping down. And this lens is already at f4, so you wouldn't want to have to stop down to f7 to remove it. So that's good. We're getting great results. And then this was the check, again, a more controlled test for Bokeh, but also to see if there was any lateral fringing as well. And as you can see, there's like hardly any longitudinal chromatic aberration. And if we go in here and check along the lines, same thing. I'm not seeing much in the way of like purple fringing, so that's great. And then I wanted to check for spherical aberration, and just in general, close focusing is something really great about this lens, but sometimes I've noticed when I test lenses, I like to shoot a lot of like little details at the minimum focus distance, and sometimes you get just soft, sort of sparkly, soap bubbly effects, which is probably spherical aberration up close, but I wasn't noticing much at all. So this is at 70mm, and you can also use this to see the reproduction, which is interesting. So this is 20mm. This is the same shot. This is as close as you can get at 20mm, but then you can zoom to 70mm and you don't have to change distance that much. I think it says here on the lens that it's 0.82 feet or 0.25 meters versus 0.99 feet or 0.3 meters. So, but from a physically holding it, it felt like the difference was like this, like very, very subtle. But you get to zoom all the way to 70mm, so your reproduction goes up significantly. And I think, I did a quick little browsing around online, and I think this might have the best macro reproduction for a standard zoom lens. Again, at 70mm, not at 20mm. At 20mm, you're getting this. And I think it was 1 to 2.5-ish is what I was getting, which isn't too bad at all. But anyway, let's check the details here. And as you can see, very, very sharp. Even all these little bits here on the needles, they look great. And even at 20 mil, we're gonna have to zoom in even further, but you can see extremely sharp. So good macro reproduction for a standard zoom if you're using this as a walk-around lens, and very sharp results as well. No complaints so far. And then here I was finally able to get a little bit of Sunstars. The weather's been kind of dodgy here. This is at f22 at 20 mil. Now we're too zoomed in. Looks like that. Yeah, nice enough, whatever. I don't know what people are looking for when they look for Sunstars, to be honest. I don't know what the aesthetic quality is here that you want. But here they are at 70 mil. So once again, 20 mil and 70 mil. I shot a lot of silhouettes this day when I went out. But again, you can really see the sharpness, even completely silhouetted, but the bark here looks great. And also, like you can see there's very little issues with flare in this particular shot, but we go a little further into flare here. More Sunstars, but also creeping out across the frame. So here's me creeping around the tree, and you can see there is some flare. It shoots across the frame, but the contrast is maintained pretty well, and the artifacts aren't completely egregious. We've gotten to a point with these Sony lenses, you know, from the G class and up, where the coatings are pretty good, and we can expect pretty decent, you know, flare control, and I'd say that we're getting that here as well. And next up, let's talk about distortion, because this has a lot of it. So at 70 mil, you can see we're getting some serious pincushion distortion here, big curves bowing inward, and then this shot was at 50 and change millimeters, and it's still there a little bit. Now these are non-corrected images, but I often don't like to focus too much on distortion or vignetting. We'll talk about both of them, but it's because generally people are using these lenses with, you know, a Sony body, and then all the corrections are going to be done. The only time that you're not going to have corrections is if you get the lens right away before Lightroom is updated or whatever, you know, program you use, and so you don't have profiles. So in this case, I had to go in and I had to use like the 24 to 70 profiles, and then you could, you know, make it work. They actually work pretty well. But if you shoot JPEGs or video, then the corrections are done in camera and the distortion is minimal. It's not that you're going to adapt this lens to a system that's not going to have corrections because it's E-mount, you know? So anyway, but there is considerable distortion at 70 mil in the pincushion variety. And then again, this is the 70 mil, a little bit closer though. So shooting a fence at 70 mil, and you can see, again, there's some pincushion. But if we shoot at 20 mil, then we're getting major barrel distortion. And if we get closer to the fence, you can see it. It's very obvious. And as you might expect, right in the middle of the focal range, like in that 45 millimeter zone, it's actually, the distortion's almost non-existent. It's perfect. So just, that's your crossover point where it starts going one way to the other. But while we're here, we can actually look at the corner sharpness as well. So this is focused in the center, and I should be far enough back that curvature won't be too big of an issue. But if we jump in here, you can see very, very sharp, great results. I'm at like 250% now in the center. And if we move out to the sides, and I would say in like 80, 90, maybe even more percent of the frame is good. It doesn't start to fall off until the absolute edges. Let's look down here. Same thing, you can see like we're good here. A little bit of softness, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. But, you know, for perspective, that's down around here. So we're keeping really good sharpness through the bulk of the frame, which that's excellent. And then at 70 millimeters, similar result. Let's punch right in. And yeah, I mean, that's really, really sharp, 200%. And if we move out to the edges, again, we're maintaining our sharpness, yeah, pretty well, almost to the extreme corner. Like this is great. And then you can start to see it right around here that's a little bit soft. So again, like we're getting like 90, 95% of the frame is having excellent sharpness. Vignetting is the same sort of situation here. So this is 20 mil, no corrections. You can see some serious vignetting. And then this is 70 mil, and it's mostly gone. And then this was at 35 mil, this to give you a sense of, you know, 20, 35, 50. So I would say even by 35, the vignetting is mostly controlled. Now let's talk about bokeh. So this is at 20 mil, f4, obviously. And this is probably one of the things where you're going to say, okay, this is maybe the lens's weakness if you compare it to the G Masters. It's not as good here. You can see that we're getting onion ringing. There's a distinct sort of outer membrane look. And at 20mm, you can still see the aperture blades. I believe it's a 9-bladed aperture, and you can see them even as wide open as this lens can go. And if we put those lights in the corner at f4, they're getting cut into significantly in the corner. And you can see it's not until, I mean, you got to get pretty deep into the frame to remove that sort of cutting in effect, or you can stop down, which here we're stopped down to f6.3, and they start to round out a bit more now in this area, but still cut in over here, and then still you can see the blade, and this just doesn't look very pleasing by my eye. Minimum focus at 70mm with the fairy lights in the background. This is as good as you're gonna get if you like big out-of-focus orbs. But as you can see, still serious onion ring, still an outer membrane, so that's not going away. And there is a little bit of cat's eyeing, not too terrible, but you can see it. We got a few little lemons floating around over here. And if we stop down to f6.3 on the 70mm, then you get this result. You get rid of the cat's eyeing, but now you're starting to see the aperture blades. And there's no real cutting in or anything. It's not too bad. But yeah, the 9-bladed aperture is showing its face here. So really, you're only going to get like circles at 70mm f4, or 50mm and beyond at f4. So it's fine. It's fine. The bokeh is not great on this. It's not a G Master, but it's okay. If you're shooting 70mm up close, you're going to get some decent results. But anything beyond that, stopping down, shooting at 20mm, it's not going to be great for bokeh. But one more time, I wanted to show the minimum focus distance, because that's where I think this lens really shines. So here is a 20mm shot at f4 of my watch. And if I zoom in, nice and sharp, good details, all little line, it looks great. But to give you an idea, all I did was zoom that. I didn't change how close I could get, and I can still keep focus at 70mm, and then this is the result. So it's significant how much closer you can get. And then I would say for macro reproduction, this isn't bad at all. And again, nice and sharp. Now these last couple shots show quite a few things. First of all, we're at 70mm, so again, we're seeing the pin cushion versus 20mm, we're seeing the barrel. But I also tested the sort of parfocalness of the lens, which is the lens's ability to keep focus when you zoom. And I'm not talking about autofocus. I put the manual focus on, and I went to 70mm, checked focus, had it good, zoomed back down to 20mm, checked it, and in and out like that. And at 70mm, as you can see, I focused in this area, and it's extremely sharp, looks great. But even when you zoom out to 20mm, you still keep that sharpness. So my copy of this lens anyway was extremely parfocal. I was getting great results at both ends of the zoom range. But also when we go to, this is at 35mm, you can see that the distortion situation is much better controlled. Again, 70, 20, 35. And also we can evaluate this image for color, and we're getting really bold, nice colors that are, there's not much shift going on. Our grays look great, neutral, just really sharp, really great. This is probably one of the best expectations versus, what I got out of it. I was like, okay, a 20 to 70 f4, let's put it on, let's take a shot. I was like, wow, sharp, good colors, looks great, no chromatic aberration, bang, bang, like it's good. Now the other aspect of focusing, in and out like that is to see what the focus breathing situation was going to be like. And I have a clip here to show you. The results are great, fantastic. And again, this was shot on the A1, so I have no focus breathing compensation in camera. Why not? I don't know. That's a Sony issue that they need to fix with firmware, but I don't have it. So we're only seeing the actual focus breathing of the lens by itself. So here at 20mm, going from minimum focus to infinity, you can see the frame barely breathes, like it's small. And then if we go into 70mm and do the same thing, again, we're getting very little focus breathing. And then here I did a test where I brought my hand in front of the lens so we could see, if you're popping in and out of focus, what kind of focus breathing to expect. And again, excellent results. And as you can see in that clip, the autofocus was smooth and fast. It's got their XD linear motors like all their other recent lenses, so you're getting just really fast, smooth, silent autofocus performance, which looks good in video. And for photo, I did some near and far quick AFC tests, and this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it just zaps to the background and foreground, no hesitation, very smooth, very fast, no complaints at all when it comes to the focus motors and the autofocus continuous performance on this lens. Just great. Okay, now I've got the lens on my main camera there, the A7 IV, but I have focus breathing compensation turned off, so we're going to see how it looks in its natural state, and the autofocus, of course. And this shot will be a little less shallow than my regular shot because I'm at f4 instead of the regular f1.8 or f2 that I shoot at. So let's evaluate all this while I tell you about today's sponsor, Artlist. Now, I don't always put music in my videos, but when I do, I get that music from Artlist. Artlist is a highly curated, royalty-free music and sound effects platform perfect for anyone who wants to create videos. I've been using their service for years and I'm a big fan. They have subscriptions for every budget, from the more casual social media creator to professionals that need music for both personal and commercial projects. Artlist audio catalog contains over 22,000 songs and 27,000 sound effects that are updated daily, and it's easy to find the asset you're looking for by using their intuitive filters for video themes, genres, instruments, and more. You can even filter by beats per minute. So maybe you need a track with a groovy mood for a technology video in the jazz genre with prominent piano. Bam! Dozens of songs with those characteristics ready to download with the push of a button. Also, on a more personal note, as a YouTuber, of all the music platforms I've tried, Artlist has been the best when it comes to not receiving copyright claims on my videos, which is hugely important for me. So give Artlist a try by using the link in the description, and if you do, you'll get 2 extra months added for free to your annual subscription. Thanks for listening. Also, consider this as an APS-C option too. If you're somebody who got a recent FX30 or you shoot a lot of APS-C, this becomes like a 30 to 105 lens, which is actually pretty good focal length to have that option to switch to be 20 to 70 full frame or 30 to 105 on the other one. But that f4 is going to cost you. So really, if you're somebody, I see this as like a walk around lens for somebody outdoors where f4 isn't the issue, and they want the ability to, shoot at 20 mil to do maybe some architectural stuff, again, where f4 isn't an issue, but then go all the way to 70 mil and get better macro reproduction than what you're gonna get on those competing lenses, where, again, f4 isn't a huge issue because you're already getting such a shallow depth of field. And to that, it does an extremely good job with great chromatic aberration, great focus breathing, it's parfocal, like really great performance all the way across the board. It just comes down to f4, light and small, compact. I don't think I'm gonna get this one. I don't really think that it serves a purpose for me, but as far as whether or not I recommend it, I would say yes, if it serves a purpose for you based on its focal length, its aperture, its size and weight and build and all that, then yes, quality-wise, I can definitely recommend it as being an excellent performer for what it does, as long as what it does is what you need. All right, I'm done.